Good morning, traders. So how do we trade the Aussie, South African top 40 today? So I've left the levels that I drew in yesterday on the chart, and you can see on the daily that we pulled back straight into the zone and rallied off it. Now, the daily bar that was formed is still not really a nice confirmation bar, but it is green, and we did have this pin bar here. So there is a potential that we have reached a bottom. Okay, this will be very interesting if it is a bottom, because we have a fairly deep pullback, and this is very typical of the Aussie. After a strong move, you normally have a fairly strong rally up, not normally this strong, but anyway, a strong rally up, then a deep pullback, and then it rallies a bit, and then another deep pullback before moving on. So if I just go back a couple of, over here, well, here's a good example here. You see how we had this deep pullback, and then you see all these strong rally to the downside, and then deep pullbacks. See all these deep pullbacks. Then all of a sudden, a breakthrough and a change of direction. Okay, pin bars normally are pretty violent, like this one. You can see pin bar and then immediately carried on. Okay, so let's just get down to the lower time frames. That will give us a better understanding. So at the moment, we're in between the two moving averages on the 4 hour. So, that's kind of no man's land on the 4 hour. This trend line is broken. This one here. Okay, and if I extend it to there, it's a break and a retest. Okay, but I do like to not move the trend line, keep it like that. So that retest hasn't really happened. Okay. The next thing to point out here is we do have a grouping to the upside on the Williams percentage R, and it's kind of almost a double top at the moment. Not quite, but almost on the oscillator. So that is a bit of a worry. And what I want to do here is I just want to change the oscillator here. I noticed yesterday that if we make the stochastics similar to the fast moving average here, so the 9, this is a 9 weighted moving average, and if we change the stochastic to the same, it pretty much lines up on the short-term pullbacks. Okay, so you see what I mean here, where both of them are grouping to the upside, and we start moving. It really gives you the indication that we are moving to the downside. So anyway, this is something I picked up yesterday, but it will change. It's guaranteed to change. I think as artificial intelligence is trading more and more, machine learning keeps trying to find new ways to trap you. Okay, so key thing here. So you can see we're on the hour now, and you can see how we pulled back into the zone, formed a pin bar, pulled back again, and then rallied up. Okay, we closed above this level, which is fairly significant, but what I do see here is I see a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder forming here. So if we look at the 1 hour, you can see the moving averages are crossed over, and they are kind of flat, not pointing up, but they are in the right direction. Okay, 4 hour is a different picture. We haven't crossed over yet. And the 4 hour is the one I'm looking for a crossover, because that will tell me that we have changed direction and we're moving up. Okay, so for today, let's get back to the half hour. Okay, you can see the first half hour of trading. So let's just use this one. I'll delete that one. And there, you can see that first half hour of trading. You can see we broke the upside, turned around, came back, broke to the downside, back. So whenever this happens, and you'll notice in a lot of the videos that we do, this first range, which we call the opening range, whenever we have a situation where it breaks both sides, it normally does it once or twice, sometimes 3 times, but that is the indecision now. That's the tug of war of a change of direction, which is often happening. So that's kind of the effect that I'm looking at the moment. And the other thing to bear in mind is the closing range, which is from the previous day. So the previous day's hour, which is these two bars here, you can see how we broke above it and then came back and then broke below it, which would have triggered stop losses. Okay, and then back up, broke above it again. So that is also a signal of how do I put it, of a change in direction. If you look at the day before, you can see it broke below and it went down to reach its target and then came back into it, but it didn't break above it. So your stop loss would have been up here on the break of this, and you would have hit your target. Okay, and even if you didn't hit your target, you wouldn't have been stopped out. You'd been stopped out the next day. Okay, but it doesn't always work out. As you can see, the previous day, there's my closing range. You see we broke up, and then eventually broke to the downside. Okay, so yeah, and the other thing to bear in mind is with the Aussie, it often heads off in one direction on the open range breakout, and then immediately turns around and goes the other way. Often does that, so just bear that, and especially now that the Europe is an hour later with daylight savings. Okay, so what are we looking for today? Well, I think it's quite simple, actually. I'd like to see us stay above this 45,926. If we can stay above it, and in other words, just meander sideways or gentle downward trend, that would give me the confidence that we are playing this double bottom out. Okay, this tail and this tail make a double bottom, and there is the neckline. So that would give me a target to the upside of around there, and that will more than likely coincide with the 30-minute 200 moving average. Now bear in mind, shoulder, head, shoulder. Okay, so that's kind of what I would expect to play out. Okay, it doesn't quite tie up with the inside bar. There's the inside bar there, but pretty much, I mean, that would be the level to look for. Okay, so let's just summarize it quickly. What we're looking for is sort of a meander of some sort. Let me just check what's happening with our friend 10 cents. 10 cents flat, 0.2 down. Rand dollar is 14.21, nothing to write home about there. And the S&P last night was up 1%. So we did rally on the S&P, so I would expect some sort of a gap up, or if not, but flat, come back, maybe even come back to close the gap, and that would give me the confidence to start looking for the longs. Okay, so the first pullback, or even the break on the first half hour of trading, that may even be worth taking that trade, but do watch out for this top level here of 46,570. Okay, and on the daily you'll see we've also had a bit of a crossover on the moving averages, so there's no swing trade for me at the moment, but there's definitely sort of an intraday trade if you've got time today. And the key thing here is a break, so hitting the targets or breaking this fractal of 46,492 will more than likely set up an upward trade for you. But as I say, being Friday is not something that I'd want to trade. And the other thing that is concerning me is we kind of have a lot of indecision the last, this month so far. So, last 4 weeks. Okay. The monthly bar is also looking a little bit like a range bar, complete indecision. There's still a way to go, but there is, this is looking like a bottom has been found. Okay, so that's it for me today. I think the either the closing range strategy or the open range strategy, and I think if I just take the first target on the closing range here, you see where that takes us, bang on to the 200 moving average. Okay, so that's pretty much what I would expect to happen. Okay, anyway guys, that's me for today. Sorry, failure rate. So technically the stop should be below here. Okay, it should be low between 45,928. And the problem with that is, well, it's not too big. It's going to be a 450 point stop loss if you're getting in up here. But my take on this is really, if we do bounce up, even if it goes way up here and then comes down, you want to try get in somewhere in this area at gap close or at that breakout test there. So this level would be a pretty interesting level to get in. 46,125 would be the area that I'd put my trade in. Okay, with a stop below this level here. Okay, so that would give me a 250 point stop loss, that's acceptable on the Aussie. Okay, so anyway guys, that's me for today. Hope it helps, and I will catch up with you later. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend. Cheers for now.